Hey everyone, we're going to talk about mass adoption, XRP suppression, a bit of Cardano, and what is DeFi. So welcome. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe, hit that bell button, like, comment, and most importantly, I don't know, shout out your window. Ta-da! Anyways, we're going to talk about mass adoption first. We've got a lot to cover today in terms of me rambling on, so I will probably go off tangent. I'll probably talk about a dog or something, whatever. But we're going to talk about mass adoption first because there's an application, right, that can connect Bitcoin to bank accounts, which is really, really cool. So the new app is called Zap Lightning. It's basically a wallet that uses the Lightning network to do payments through a user's bank account. It is currently being piloted. It's not live yet. However, I've been talking a lot about adoption and the ways in which to go to down the road of adoption. And I've always said payment systems is the first and foremost. When you look at Crypto.com as a great example, it kind of reiterates that little bridge between funny money, magical unicorn fluff, which is Bitcoin, fiat, which is the horrible, dirty stuff that you chuck in the bin. You know, when people start to collect and think, ooh, it is money, it changes the ball game a little bit, in my viewpoint anyway. Certainly when you got a crypto card and you can use it in certain ways, it's like, oh, okay, I'm interested. What am I doing? Buy low, sell high, or buy high, sell low. Yeah, so this is really, really good. Obviously, it is being piloted. It's brand new. Strike is the direct result of Bitcoin and the Lightning development. Countless hours of user research, intense product integration, and beta testing. Woohoo! So yeah, it's in reality it's a long way off, obviously, but the ability for, in my opinion, let's just say, right, I mentioned this on a podcast last week. Visa, MasterCard adopt and use a cryptocurrency style sort of thing of adoption technology. Not so much Ethereum, not so much XRP or what, but just using a blockchain. It's massively bullish for, you know, the word, isn't it? Let's be honest, using blockchain technology. It's kind of cool. So we'll see what happens. Adoption is always good. Anyways, moving on. We're going to talk about XRP briefly because I've spoken about this a lot. People know on my channel that I hold a bag of XRP. I'm not the biggest lover of it. I'll be honest, I'm not like a massive, I'm a bull tard of it. In my honest opinion, I think it's okay to hold. You know, I don't really buy into the centralized, decentralized world of it. I want to invest in an asset that I think will go up. I personally feel that this will go up. I think it's fast. I think it's efficient. It's got good costs. It's got a good inflationary model that will obviously, you know, reduce supply as it gets used, which is always good in the value of things. Obviously, it's a long-term kind of thought process. Personal opinion, I know a lot of people are underwater on this. The stats are there. It tells you. If you buy this low as a risk-free investment, not financial advice, what risk-free means is profit from elsewhere or fun money, player money that you may, you know, money that you probably use on a kebab or something, put it into XRP, in my personal viewpoint. But it has finally woken up a little bit yesterday. But there's an article going around on Twitter from Crypto Whale, who's a really, really good analyst, and I really like his content. I think he's brilliant. Does really good graphical images and shows certain things in a different kind of light. Refreshing. He wrote an article about this. I'll leave the link below. Why he believes that it's temporarily suppressed by the owners. And I think this as well. I've been thinking this for a while. When you consider that, you know, the co-founder, obviously the CTO of Stellar Lumen, is selling his stuff. And I feel that there's definitely some kind of ways in which to kind of figure out what's happening. And there's about 7 billion getting sold. So it's a massive amount. And you got to look at this. Former sold 1.8 million to 2.7 million per day. Oof. It's a lot of money in it. So there's all kinds of stuff happening. And I will leave this on here because I personally believe, in my honest opinion about XRP, it's fast, it's easy to use, it's also quite old as well, prestigious. Now a lot of people go, oh, it's just there to fund the Ripple company, which it could be, but it makes no sense if that's the case, if it's down at the bottom. So in terms of manipulation, and be ready for it, if this pops and flies, And that's what I think will happen. I think it'll just all of a sudden just go, boom, fuck off. It's gone. You know, like the habit, boom, go. I think that'll happen at some point. Random catalyst, I think it'll just go bang. If that happens, you don't want to FOMO into it because it will probably wreck you again. And I don't mean that in a bad way. New people always invest in stuff that's when it's high. Like XRP was the flavor when it was $1, $2, $3, right? Now look at it. Buy it when no one's looking. I personally think a lot of eyeballs are off XRP. And I think if you chuck a little bit of money in at these 17, 18 cent ranges and lower down to like possibly ladder it all the way down to 10 cents, you may find that that's probably a really good investment long term that could be very, very fruitful. However, what I will say is do not use real equity. Just use profit. Use stuff that you can afford to lose because it is still very, very risky, as we know. But I think there's more risk of not being in this because I think it will fly. And even here said, my personal opinion, I am a fan of it. I wouldn't be writing this article if I didn't see the growth in the asset. I first got involved in XRP several years ago, below 1 cent. So, in my opinion, I think Crypto Whale is on the right track. And definitely the same thought process as me in terms of I think it's more risky not being involved in something that has the potential that it does have, in my personal viewpoint. That is obviously my personal opinion. Don't hate me for it. Anyways, Cardano gains momentum as Ethereum 2.0 release continues to stall. Now, I mentioned it yesterday. Tweets were coming out about, obviously from Vitalik about, you know, the element that they are looking to do 100,000 TPS. That will obviously come in a few years, right? There's obviously Zilliqa, there's obviously Cardano as well, obviously as mentioned, that do have quite a good amount of transactions per second. There's other cryptocurrencies out there that are built for speed and all kinds of scale. But there's all kinds of stuff here about issues in terms of the gas payments, obviously delays in the Ethereum kind of 2.0, how long it could actually take. It's obviously majorly overdue, which in reality it should have came out in 2018 when you consider that it crashed in 2017, scalability problems. Will Ethereum, now I rate Ethereum, I've got some low ball orders in because I think Ethereum will do well, but I think they're pushing it. I think they're touch and go with other projects in terms of scalability. As a business and as a model of business around decentralization and kind of scalability and cryptocurrency, all kinds of stuff, you got to be quick. You got to be a first mover. You got to get the attention. They've got the attention. They've had the attention for a few years, but Cardano is starting to get some of that light now. Other cryptocurrencies like Zilliqa, as we've seen, that's done well. Starting to get that light of scalability where there's a solution here, right there, that is ready to go. Ethereum 2.0 could be out in full function format mid 2021, right? We're literally coming to phase 0, which is literally the start of it. Phase 1 and phase 2 are coming later on. Phase 3 and stuff like that, in terms of the opening the floodgates essentially of TPS of 100,000, is years away. That is a problem in my eyes when you think, well, what could other cryptocurrencies do? Where could they go? If you've got a good project, chances are you're going to go to Ethereum. However, the shoe might change a little bit when you've got a good project that might boom and Ethereum can't cater for it because it doesn't have the transactions per second. That's where the food for thought process is, in my opinion, where I think Ethereum could stall a little bit and it could run a little bit flat. We know hype always runs with price action, demand, all kinds of stuff. Ethereum has always got that prestigious name, but in my personal viewpoint, if they're behind on this, it might be a problem. So just keep an eye out. Keep an eye out on the development of Ethereum 2.0. Obviously, keep a lookout on other coins with good fundamentals as well. But that is why I invest in Zilliqa. That is why I invest in Cardano and obviously VeChain and stuff like that. Different alternative sort of solutions where people can use their technology without any dramas. Whereas Ethereum, well, the jury's still out. In terms of DeFi, let's talk about this. Now, this is obviously the buzzword. Now, I'm old school. DeFi for me is nothing new. It's the same thing. It's basically the Ethereum network, decentralized finance, and I'll go over it in a bit more detail in terms of the terminology. But obviously, the Ethereum kind of section of it is obviously the decentralized finance. It's doing really, really well. Market cap by July, obviously, they've massively grown over time. But for me, it's a massive buzzword. It's like the blockchain buzzword. Nothing changes. It's still just one of those things. People are obviously interested in this technology. It's quite good. It works in a way that you can obviously grow your cryptocurrency. You can do all kinds of different bits and bobs, smart contract protocols, all kinds of good stuff. But for me, people are looking too much at the narrative that this is a new thing when it's not. It's got a funky name now. So what is DeFi, if you've ever wondered? So this is it basically. Decentralized finance, or DeFi for short, is the nickname of a financial smart contract decentralized applications, dApps, and protocols built on Ethereum. Financial dApps are the hottest use case of Ethereum at the moment. Now, go back a second, I was talking about Ethereum scalability. If enough of these go onto the Ethereum network, we could have problems. Side chains will be needed. Obviously, that's why Matic is around. But Ethereum needs to get its finger out of his ad if it's going to maintain this kind of heat wave of decentralized finance. So, for me, I've always known DeFi as Ethereum, realistically, like what it does. You know, for me, it's not really anything special. You know, it's just one of those things everyone's talking about. But obviously, you got lending, you got DEX, it's derivatives, payments, and assets. It's all just rolled into this one little bracket umbrella now called DeFi. Yay! So that is it. You know, if you're ever wondering what it was, I'm old school. I always look at, well, it's an ERC20. It does this. Oh, it's a DeFi. Cool. Whatever. I've always thought that for years. I just call it a dApp. So yeah, there we go. I'm old school. But that's today's video done. Wrapped up. Obviously, it's a bit of a ramble, bit of a random stuff. But obviously, a good chunk of different variation. You've got mass adoption, which could also affect Ethereum. You got XRP, that could also affect the banking sector. You got Cardano, that could affect Ethereum. You know what's happening. So, if you like, obviously subscribe, leave a like, comment, all kinds of good stuff. And I'll see you again very, very soon.